Maybe you've had this happen more times than you can count. You wake up in the morning and tell yourself that tonight is going to be the night and you are finally going to start on your goals. And then throughout the day, it stays in the back of your mind, and every time you think about it, it feels like you're getting closer to actually doing it. Then you get home. You sit down for a bit and tell yourself you'll start in a minute. You open up your phone just to relax for a second, and without really noticing when it happened, the moment passes. And later on, you end up saying the same thing again: I'll start tomorrow. I've been in that exact loop more times than I'd like to admit, where I've thought about something all day, fully intended on doing it, and then when it actually came time to start, I just didn't move. And what makes it frustrating is that it doesn't feel like laziness. If anything, it feels like the opposite, because you're thinking about it consistently, trying to figure out the right approach to it. So you end up stuck in this position where you're putting all this mental effort forward, but not really getting any movement. And over time, that starts to wear on your confidence. Most people assume this is a discipline issue, like they need to push harder or be more consistent. But what's happening is much simpler and a lot more practical than that. Every time you try to start, you're putting yourself in a position where you have to decide how to begin, whether now is the right time, and if you feel like doing it at all. And all those decisions built up on everything else around you weigh a lot more than you expect. So it starts to feel like you need a full routine, a checklist, and the discipline to execute it perfectly day in, day out, which is usually what makes you avoid it altogether. What a habit queuing actually is creating a simple trigger that tells you in your brain when to start, so you're not relying on memory or motivation in the moment. In this video today, you're actually going to see what habit queuing looks like in real life, how it plays out day to day, and how you can set it up in a way that makes following through feel a lot more natural. So to help illustrate the power of habit queuing, I want to walk you through a simple A and B comparison. Both these people work the same job, same hours. Realistically, it's the same day-to-day life. There is no advantage whether you're A or you're B, just different setups. Now they're both heading home. Person A gets in the car and just drives. They're tired, they didn't think ahead, and they end up flipping through radio stations, catching half songs and whatever 5 o'clock traffic mix they're basically forced to listen to. Now, person B, however, gets into the car and they already had a podcast or audiobook queued up. Same traffic, same 40-minute drive, but they actually got something out of it, even if it's only 10-15 minutes. Now they both get home. Person A walks in, kicks their shoes off, goes in the kitchen, grabs a snack, starts scrolling on their phone. 15 minutes go by quick without even realizing it. Person B walks into their house and the running shoes are set up right at the bottom of the stairs. They set it up earlier, so instead of thinking about whether they should go, they just go for a quick 15-minute walk or run. Same house, same energy, it's just a completely different outcome because they set it up the day before. Now, they move on into the evening. Person A opens up the fridge, realizes there's nothing ready, so they end up ordering food because they're tired and they don't want to think about it. Person B already has something pre-prepped, so they just go and grab it and move on. After dinner, person A sits down and scrolls. Person B has their laptop sitting right beside where they put their dishes, so when they finish cleaning up, they sit down, they start working without even needing to think about it. So, person A is relying on decisions the entire time, having to make decisions and the fatigue that causes. Person B is using habit cues and simple stacking to remove those decisions before decisions ever happen. So what actually is a cue? In person B's example, nothing they did required more discipline in the moment. The cue was the podcast already being ready. The cue was the shoes being right in the way when you walked in from the door. The cue was the food already being prepped the night before. The cue was the laptop being perfectly placed where you know you were going to be after you finish dinner. That's what habit queuing is. You're setting up your environment, your routine, so that action becomes default instead of something that you have to convince yourself to do. So if you want to actually try this out, the goal is to keep it simple and obvious. Here are a few additional examples to see what it looks like potentially in your life. Let's say you want to start going to the gym in the morning. So the night before, you lay out your clothes so they're right beside your bed. You already have your workout routine planned for that day. You already have your water bottle already filled up so that you can just get up out of bed and grab it. All the clothes are already decided the night before. So you cut the decision of having to decide what to do and where to start. Everything is already set up and all you have to do is follow through on what's already there. Now let's take another example. Let's say you want to start an online business. Instead of telling yourself you'll work on it later, you set it up the night before. You open your laptop, you save the exact tabs that you need, and you leave it in a place you'll know you'll end up at the end of the day. Typically, what I recommend is this be a place that you specifically set aside for work. Not that you need a whole bedroom for your new business, but even just a small, even if it's a chair that you always sit at the kitchen table, or it's a specific spot on the couch. The goal of this is that when you sit down, you're telling your body that you don't need to make any decisions here. We already have everything pre-set up for you. So when you sit down, you're not figuring out what to do or where to start. You're putting yourself in a location as well that you're used to doing that type of deep work. The tabs are already open, the direction's clear, and the only thing you need to do is actually complete one simple action. Now, lastly, let's say you want to start reading more consistently. Instead of leaving it as something you'll get to, you place the book that you're trying to read on your pillow because you know that you're going to have to lift it up and move it, and that instead of grabbing your phone to scroll, maybe leave it on the other side of the room so that you have your full attention on where you're at in the bed, and you're just going to be bored otherwise if you don't pick up the book. In all these examples, the pattern's the same. You're deciding ahead of time what the action is, and you're setting a clear trigger that makes it easy to follow through. So that means you're not having to rely on willpower. You're making the right action the easiest one to take. And right now in this world, everything is so easy to absorb. Social media, all the new TV shows that are out there. You can't watch it all. What we need to do is set up the actions that we want to take in a simple way so that we actually can start taking them. This video was not made for you to walk away thinking that now you need to restructure your entire life and implement habit cues into every part of your day. And it's definitely not about turning yourself into some perfectly optimized system where everything is tracked, planned, and executed like a robot. That's not why I made this. It's about understanding how to use cues when you need them, and knowing that you can set these things up in a way that makes follow through easier on yourself. There are going to be times where you're locked in and everything feels dialed, whether it's 6 months, whether it's 2 weeks. And conversely, there's always going to be moments in life where your energy is going to drop, where things just get really busy and you don't feel as sharp or motivated. Knowing how to use habit cues gives you a skill that allows you to move forward in both situations without relying on the need to bring about willpower and discipline every single time. It allows you to make the smart adjustments. Instead of falling completely off track, those small adjustments are what actually keeps you in motion on those slow energy days. Over time, that's where things begin to change and you start to feel like your actions are building on each other. And that's how we build momentum over time. And once you feel that at your back, the things that you can accomplish over the next month, 3 months, 6 months are going to be extraordinary. You're going to look back on what you've done, what you've tried, and what you've learned, and it's going to be a lot more than what you thought you were capable of. And that's something I genuinely want you to experience for yourself. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for watching, and have a great day as always.